This might be the most humiliating flex gone wrong in YouTube history. Mazi walked into that reunion like a king, draped in designer, iced out from his wrist to his teeth, and carrying an ego so massive you could probably see it from space. From the moment he sat down, he wanted everyone to know he was that guy. He didn't just talk about wealth, he breathed it. He claimed he only traveled in private jets, his watch cost more than a luxury car, and his lifestyle was simply untouchable. But what he didn't know? The internet was watching. And when the internet starts digging, the truth always comes out. Because that private jet he bragged about, it was fake. Not just a little exaggerated, completely staged. A photo studio designed to look like a private jet, rented by influencers who want to fake the millionaire lifestyle for Instagram clout. And when the contestants at the reunion found out, it was over. The moment he was confronted, Mazi tried to talk his way out of it. First, he brushed it off. Then, he doubled down, claiming it was all part of some marketing strategy to get people talking. But nobody was buying it. The room erupted in laughter. His entire high-value image destroyed in real time. And the worst part? This was just the beginning. Because after this public humiliation, things only got worse. Keep watching, because this is a takedown you do not want to miss. Mazi had spent the entire reunion doing what he did best, flexing. From the moment he walked onto the stage, it was clear he wanted to establish himself as the wealthiest, most successful man in the room. He made sure everyone knew about his lifestyle, his possessions, and his undeniable status. It wasn't just subtle bragging, it was a full-on performance. He leaned into every opportunity to remind people that he only flew private, that his watch alone cost more than some people's houses, that his chain was worth nearly $500,000. At first, most people just nodded along, some entertained by his antics, others rolling their eyes but choosing to let him talk. But what Mazi didn't realize was that the internet was watching, and the internet never lets anything slide. The cracks in his story started appearing before he even knew what was happening. While he was in the middle of another one of his monologues about his high-value lifestyle, someone casually brought up the rumors that had been circulating online. It was done smoothly, almost innocently, as if the person was genuinely curious.
So basically you said that you was on a private jet, but the internet went and done his research. And it seems like they found a private jet that looks like the one that you was in. But the only difference with the one that they found is that that one doesn't fly.
The moment those words were said, the entire room shifted. The energy changed in an instant. People who had been only half paying attention suddenly perked up. Others who had been rolling their eyes at his bragging now turned their heads, fully engaged, waiting for his reaction. The seconds that followed felt like slow motion. Mazi, who had been sitting comfortably, his posture relaxed, suddenly tensed up. His confident smirk wavered just a little. But to his credit, he tried to recover quickly. He blinked, glanced around the room as if calculating his next move. And then rather than deny it outright, he went for a different approach, deflection. At first, he acted like the question wasn't even worth acknowledging, brushing it off with a laugh. But that only made things worse. More people started chiming in, pressing him for answers. Someone else commented on how fast the receipts had been pulled up online, and another contestant bluntly stated that they had seen the proof with their own eyes. The room was now fully against him, and he knew it. He had only two options: admit everything or try to spin the situation in his favor. He went with the latter. Mazi cleared his throat and finally responded, saying that the whole thing had been intentional. He claimed that he staged the private jet shoot on purpose, as part of a larger plan to get people talking. According to him, it was all about strategy. He didn't need to prove anything to anyone. He knew who he was, and he knew that the moment people saw him step into what looked like a luxury jet, they'd start talking. And talking was good. He made it sound like the entire thing had been a carefully executed publicity stunt, something he had done deliberately to manipulate engagement and spark conversation. But nobody was buying it. The smirks turned into outright laughter. At first, it was just a few chuckles. Then it spread through the entire room. Someone shook their head, clearly amused but also completely unimpressed. Another contestant leaned back in their chair, letting out an exaggerated sigh, as if they had just witnessed the most predictable excuse ever. A few people even clapped, mocking his performance. But the worst part for Mazi? The cameras were catching everything. There was no escaping this moment. Every shift in his expression, every failed attempt to regain control, every single reaction from the people around him, all of it was being recorded, immortalized in high definition for the internet to dissect and replay over and over again. One of the contestants, unable to hold back anymore, leaned forward and called him out directly. They pointed out that if he really wanted to get people talking, he could have at least rented a private jet that actually moves. This sent another wave of laughter through the room. The humiliation was complete. The truth was out. Mazi's private jet wasn't a private jet at all. It was a photo studio, a stage set that influencers used to take fake pictures to pretend they lived a life of luxury. And the internet had already done a full investigation. They had receipts, down to the exact location where the stage jet was available for rent. Within hours of Mazi's original post, people had started comparing the photos, matching the furniture, the lighting, and even the angle of the windows to prove beyond a doubt that the jet did not fly. And now, sitting in front of a room full of people who were openly laughing at him, Mazi had to face reality. He tried to spin it again, saying that he really does fly private all the time, just not in that moment. But at this point, nobody cared. The damage was done. His credibility was gone. People started whispering amongst themselves, shaking their heads. It wasn't just about the lie anymore. It was the way he handled getting caught. Instead of owning up to it, he doubled down, acting as if it had all been part of some genius plan. And that just made it worse. A few contestants exchanged knowing looks, clearly enjoying the downfall of someone who had spent the entire night boasting. Some had been annoyed by his constant bragging from the start, but now they were vindicated. They had concrete proof that everything he had been saying needed to be taken with a massive grain of salt. And that's when another contestant hit him with the final nail in the coffin. They pointed out that when someone truly has money, they don't need to constantly announce it. The real wealthy people, they're quiet about it. They don't need to stage fake photo shoots. They don't need to prove anything to strangers. Their lifestyle speaks for itself. It was a mic drop moment. Mazi had nothing left to say. He leaned back, folded his arms, and stayed quiet, as if accepting defeat. But the damage was irreversible. And the craziest part? This wasn't even the worst thing to happen that night, because what happened next made this entire situation look like a minor inconvenience. Like and subscribe for part 2, because it only gets messier from here.